Hey, everybody, welcome to the Shead Show. I'm your host, Ryan Shed. Sorry that we're a few minutes late. As always, we had some technical difficulties. But I have back with me,
CPT? It's always when I'm on. It's always when I'm on.
which is all the time. So,
And
you
I'm a
know,
big fan, so I'm trying to figure out, man, this doesn't happen when it's just you. It must be me. It must be me.
no. And
Thanks for
and
having me
as
back.
and as you can see, I have my good friend Ian Sherman here to co-host with me.
How you guys
So,
doing?
yeah, he texted me this morning. We were going back and forth all week of whether we were going to do a show, and yeah, he pulled the trigger this morning. So here we are to talk about all the crazy things going on because there's a plethora. I don't think we're going to have a
I'm just trying to
shortage of,
make sense of all the crazy that we're
bro.
witnessing
It,
within
it
this.
it's insane.
Yeah.
It,
I told you last time I was on. I'm tired of all this history.
I,
Tired of it.
tired of living through it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I mean, let's talk about the first thing that is important, I think, to most Americans right now, which is the House Speaker
Yeah.
debacle. What
Yeah.
what are your
This is
thoughts on that,
historic,
brother?
man. This is historic.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that the system got hijacked.
Mm,
You know, the biggest thing that I've really kind of really wrapped my head around this is that Kevin McCarthy is no leader, and by that I mean when you compare him apples to apples, you put him up next to Pelosi, night and day.
mm,
It was the same margin, the same number of folks, and she kept that locked, loaded, and ready to go the entire time, and got so much done with the same margin of error.
yeah.
And you look at McCarthy, and you're like, okay, you literally gave up all of your power. Like this is literally when you go to the negotiating table and you're literally just agreeing with whatever's being thrown at you because you just want to taste that power. You're not negotiating. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You literally
Yep.
just signed yourself up for failure. And so we all knew this day was going to come. And it's quite interesting to see that he shot himself in the foot as it led to that moment where he was even taking shots at Democrats the night before the actual vote. And it's just like, how stupid can you really be? Like,
Telling you.
what's the end game? And then it shows that Matt Gaetz had no plan at all. It was just create this chaos because
Yep.
they can't decide. Scalise, the Dave Duke light or whatever he wants to go by, Dave Duke without the baggage, which whatever the fuck that is. So can't make this shit up. And then you got
No.
the peeping tom, peekaboo, wrestler coach Jim Jordan,
Mm,
who doesn't say nothing. See something, don't say nothing.
right.
And a lot of people are coming out. A lot more people are coming out with a lot of the accusations about that. And it's like, look
Yeah.
into it. Like, I mean, anybody who does not know about that, look into it because it's
Yeah.
just kind of interesting that it just it's exactly who you think he is, plain and
Yeah.
simple. But
And
yeah,
the
they can't lock it down. They can't lock it down.
no, they can't. And I was on a podcast, The Left Wing, I think it was last week, and we were talking about this because at the time they were all the left wing, the right wing was all talking about, oh, let's nominate Trump to be speaker,
Yeah,
which is possible. Is it
yeah.
probable? Probably not, but it's possible. And they were talking about that. And in that conversation, we were talking about, well, who's actually going to get it? Who actually has a chance of getting it? Like Trump isn't probably going to get it,
His
but
ego wouldn't let him going from number one to number three. His ego isn't
and
street
guys on the
smart.
podcast that was their point too. They're like,
Yeah,
I don't think he takes that step down. And I'm like, I would
yeah,
for the instant power, and you're second in line. But their point was exactly what you said.
right,
Um,
right.
but going there, it was just like, okay, Jim Jordan to me is dangerous, and he has a very real chance of getting this done. Like, what is it? 217 he needs? 218?
217, and he's nowhere near it.
No, he's
He's
not.
nowhere
But
near
who
it.
else is going to get it?
But that's the whole dilemma that we're looking at.
Right.
Scalise had half the vote. Jordan had half the vote. You're not becoming half the vote without the Democratic Party. And
Right.
Hakeem Jeffries said it beautifully. Either you can go down this extreme pattern that you constantly are flaunting and expressing, or you could literally start working with us. What we should be doing for the people of America. And it's
Yeah.
like, look, man, you're not gonna get there. Hakeem Jeffries is closer to it than anybody else. This is 2023 about to be 2024. How fucking crazy would it be if 8 Republicans just joined the Democratic Party? because then Hakeem Jeffries would be the House Speaker.
And that,
And we're talking about moderates. We're talking about just
no,
moderates.
well,
Like straight
exactly.
up moderates. Mitt
And
Romney's, I'm not coming back for this shit. I'm out. We got to get shit done,
you really don't need many. You don't need
No,
many to get it done.
no, no.
And I just wanted, what I wanted to add in there is, I want people to keep in mind that Jim Jordan is like 515 days overdue
Yeah.
for showing up to a congressional
His subpoena.
subpoena related to January 6th and them trying to overthrow the government. So, if you're a common sense thinker, you're going, why won't this dude sit in front of Congress like Hillary Clinton did for 11 hours? Why won't he sit in front of Congress and be questioned? And the answer should be that you should find at the end of that question is because he knows that he would incriminate himself, or that he would have to sit there and plead the fifth, or whatever. He would have to avoid pretty much every question they throw at him.
It's not a win-win. It's not a win-win at all.
Yeah. No. So this is the guy that they're putting up. And like Ian said, going into it, he covers for sexual predators, not just the ones at Ohio State, but also Donald Trump. He doesn't abide by congressional subpoenas, which he's supposed to be enforcing. Like, how does that make sense?
And he doesn't own a sports jacket. Fuck that dude.
Really? Oh. Like,
you had to think about it.
I did. You got me.
You never see it. You never see him in one. So I'm just saying. They want to talk about.
I think because he's so short. He's so short that they make him look even smaller.
There you go.
He's short. He's like 5'4", 5'5".
Oh,
I love watching.
He talks so mighty. That's why he talks so big.
I'm telling you, go watch the things. If you get a picture far away, you'll notice when he stands next to taller people, you really realize how short he is. It's like, oh, dude, you're
interesting.
You're looking up at people, bro.
Frail. You look real frail. You okay?
Yeah.
Did you eat your Wheaties?
Baggy clothes.
Oh, yeah.
How has he been in there for 16 years? 16
Ohio.
years.
Ohio.
Bro.
It's Ohio.
So, okay.
That's all you have to say. Ohio.
Ohio. So before we move on, let me ask you, what do you think the outcome is? What do you think the honest outcome is going to be here for the House Speaker?
I think this is okay. If we're going to be real about it, I think they're going to keep the interim House Speaker, give him a little bit of power, and they're going to prolong this because they don't have an answer right now. And with that no answer, you're looking at the real wild card being Hakeem Jeffries, like I said, and that's just that toss up. Like,
right.
Add that to we're gonna make first contact with aliens. You know what I mean?
But we've already had one first.
I'm just saying. I'm not ruling it out. I'm not
not either, bro. I'm not either. I think there was
Hakeem
already
Jeffries
one.
Could get it done.
I think there was already one today that came out and basically was like, "What do we have to do to get this done?"
Yeah.
So all it's going to take is one or two to start jumping ship, and
that's exactly it. And the thing is that this is it's not looking good for the Republican Party going into 2024 election because they just showed how chaotic they are.
Yeah.
And not only that they just caused this kind of mess, they sabotaged themselves for the deficit, which then led into keeping the government open. Yep. So they literally are shooting themselves in the foot every single time. They are literally the majority of the House, and they literally are running around like they don't know what to do. So with that said, voters are going to be looking at that because it's literally teeing up to next year.
And I just want to point out there are votes. There's voting that's happening this November.
Yeah.
So I don't even think we're going to have to wait till 2024 to see this flip on them. But I think by 2024, when they see, like you said, when they see the continued failure over and over and over again,
when they see, because it's been happening for how many years now? Losing the popular vote.
I know.
That's why we have Maine gerrymandering and literally.
People bust my balls daily. They're like, you're still like idealistic. Like, it's like, I still hope that we can someday get back to where we are or where we need to be.
I don't think it's even getting back to it. I think we just need to get past this, which we will, where we will get past this. And I think that we will learn from this era. When you look
we're
at
gonna have
everybody,
to. We're gonna have to.
I mean, that's all we could ever ask for,
Yeah.
but when you're looking at it from this standpoint, you
You know,
know,
it's just really weird because a lot of the people in power now were like part of the, 60s, 70s, flower childs, all that stuff. It's like the hippies turned into be these crazy conservatives. And,
Anakin Skywalker, all of them,
I,
all
you
of them,
know,
all of them.
so, but I personally don't think that we're going to see this generation behind us flip that role. I think that they're going to learn from this. They're going to see how all of this goes down, and in 20 years, 10 years, they're not going to forget this.
I don't even think it takes 10. I mean, they're right behind us on the heels of us right now. And what's
That's
interesting
true.
about it is that this is why there's a small minority of Republicans who are really pushing for the idea of raising the age limit to vote. And it's just like, wait a minute, is it because your message is not landing with millennials and younger? Is it because of the fact that you just stripped women's health from them and they looked at you like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
No, we're not going with that. Like the moment that anybody even talks about abortion, which
Yep.
remember,
Birth
every
control.
step of the way they talked about it was, well, we think it's between you and your doctor. Well, we don't think the government should say anything. Well, now they're talking about a national ban, and they're like, well, no, don't talk about a national ban. No, they're talking about a national ban. So what are you going to
And
do?
putting doctors in jail for doing it. So
And they
now
put a
you,
woman in jail. They put a
yep,
woman in jail in America. Woman in jail giving birth.
welcome.
Yeah. So it's like, is that message really going to land with somebody, especially young people who are experimenting and trying things and being out there and exploring as they should?
Yep.
So do you really want to make their lifestyle illegal? It's like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Of course they're not voting for you. But yes, Karen in Ohio that is 70 years old, she don't care. Yeah, she wants Jim Jordan to fight for whatever little small piece of the pie that she thinks she's going to get. Of course. Of course. Enjoy, Karen. How's that taste, motherfucker? How's it taste? So yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Well, I know that you're gonna set your soapbox up here for a minute, so I'm gonna go ahead
I
and
need a
train.
kazoo. I need a kazoo intro for this. Let me
Oh,
just tell
geez.
you.
So,
It's like,
and I'm really, I'm probably just gonna let you go with it. But for anybody that didn't know, the BLM Chicago got into a little.
well, let's just first this from the beginning.
Yes,
It is
please.
really sad to see what's happening in the Middle East, and my heart goes out for everyone that is involved right now
Yes,
because
100%.
no one's going to win.
Nope.
No one is going to win. This is not a win-win situation. This is not a lose. This is just an absolutely horrific situation that unfolded.
Yep.
I have friends literally from both countries. I have friends from both religions. Hell, I'm married to a lovely Jewish girl from New York, and I have a Jewish son. And I'm having conversations at home that I see the rage, I see the anger, I see the hurt, I see the pain from her community, and likewise, I see the other side of it, which is not. There's no measuring this. The only thing you could ever say is that it was horrific what happened, and it's equally horrific what is happening now in retaliation.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about leveling a city as Gaza, and all it is just wiping out its civilians. This is not war. We're not talking about one government versus another government and them being much like how we're looking at Russia and Ukraine. It's not the same conversation at all. That is a war. It is horrific to the extent that things are happening and unfolding, and even to look at what's happening in the West Bank and hearing more of the local stories of the people who are also Muslim living still in Israel and
Yep.
what they're now going through during this past week, and things unfolding there. My heart goes out for everyone in Israel. My heart goes out for everyone that's in Palestine. Hamas is a terrorist group,
Yep.
plain and simple. They have hijacked the country. They are using children and women as shields from this. It could end overnight if they put down their weapons. At the same time, You're talking about a war that's been going on that nobody knows when the first stone was thrown.
Yeah.
The Jewish people are of that land. When you have the conversation about that region, that area, you have to go back not to the 60s, not to the 40s, not to the 30s, not to 1900s. You have to go back 5,000 years. They have roamed that land so long. They've seen empires, they've seen the fall of empires, they've seen everything, and they've passed on those stories. When my wife and I talk about it all the time, and I give her a lot of shit, we talk about how they built Egypt. And I go, well, yeah, but they look more like me than they do you. Because just on the geographic side, they just had a little bit more melanin, girl. There's in Africa. They just had a lot more sun right here on that neck.
It's true.
So I'm just gonna say they definitely didn't look like you. You look like you came out of the story of Snow White, and I love you. And the thing about it is that when you look at what's happening and unfolding, and you ask yourself, I have a really big issue with how Americans internalize this because I am of two races, and it's etched in there. My father was a Black Panther. My mother was a sweet little German girl who was raised in Detroit, Michigan. When you look at the makeup that I come from, and I look at literally uh, them dating at a time that America was very openly racist and segregated. And even when you and I grew up, you could see the segregation of Detroit from the suburbs to the inner city. You could
Absolutely.
see the decay of what was left behind for those who stayed in the urban setting, and
Yep.
then those who went and chased Leave It to Beaver. You could see that night and day, and that's how we grew up. So I always had that in me to be a natural activist and to be outspoken when injustice is there in front of us. What I'm seeing today is what I feel a majority, not a majority, I'm really sorry, a minority of the left that is of a younger generation that is striving to push to be harder activists, to drive the message, to really strive to etch out their own lane within the party. And when I say that to you, I feel that the message is lost.
Okay.
The celebrating of what happened with Hamas and the parading of this as a victory is horrendous on all fronts. And I'm deeply saddened and quite honestly frustrated with Black Lives Matter for allowing a chapter like Chicago, which has its own house, to get in order because you're giving conservatives red meat. You have the highest percentage of crime where they call it black on black, which we all know it's not a real thing. It's just called crime. And when you look at that, you're giving them that moment to really poke holes at the entire message of what is could have been so special.
Right.
To champion such a horrific action is a spit in the face of any peaceful protest that's ever taken place. To encourage such a thing only gives weight to every single talking point that anybody's ever said in a negative context about your message that is now spit in the face of George Floyd, Aubrey, hell, Emmett Till. It's horrendous to even think that you could take American stories and then look at something that is overseas in the Middle East and think, oh, it's a black and white issue. It's not. And I hate that part of my culture, and even this is hip hop, they have not deep dived enough into the actual fundamentals of where this whole story, this whole saga began. They go back to the 60s and immediately they think civil rights. Immediately they think apartheid. They think what's happened in South Africa. They immediately think about Nat Turner. And it's like, you can't put those elements into what that is because it's not a black and white issue. And stop
Right.
trying to make it one. And the news is so salacious with it that they equally are pushing that.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me is that it's this minority of voices that are the loudest that are just screaming in the echo chamber. And then here we are sitting here just getting bombarded with all this bullshit. And no one's even giving themselves enough time to just process what just happened.
Yeah.
Everybody's in a rush to be the first to break something. And it's like, as these stories are prolonging and coming out, Egypt tried to warn Netanyahu. He did not take it in mind. He did not take it in consideration. He was focused on still trying to get the settlements and still trying to do his little hustle because he's trying to take care of his conservatives, his
Yep.
constituents. He's not the prime minister of the entire country. He is literally carved out for the people who get him in power. That's it. And he is not the Israeli people. There are so many people there who are against him. Before this even happened, he was he succeeded in carving out the Supreme Court and creating himself a stronger position, foothold, to pass more legislation and to create more trauma towards his own people and towards those in the settlement. And there was massive protests against him in this movement. And here we are, and you watch now this horrific situation happen. A part of me feels like it gave him the power to then do what he's doing now to Gaza. And that's the part that I find horrendous on his part.
Let me ask you this, because do you feel there are any similarities between the way that America responded to September 11th and the way that Israel is responding now?
You know, my wife and I got into this conversation where she said, this is our 9/11. And I go, the thing about 9/11 is we didn't try to ransack our freedom before 9/11. And by that, I mean Netanyahu attacked his own courts before this happened. And now he just got the green light to then go out and start with ultimate power and the green light from the American government to say, you got to do what you got to do, which I fully understand the anger and the retaliation side of things, and to get your hostages back.
Now, wasn't that pretty much the same response that America got at the time? We pretty much got the response from other countries that were like, yeah, you guys got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, but that led us into fight Saddam Hussein, who had nothing to do with this. If we were to really do what we were going to do, we would have gone after Saudi Arabia. If we were going to do what we were going to do. And the reality is that we went blindly into this and attacked whoever said, point them out. Which one did it? And America, they think everybody else looks alike.
See, and to me, I feel like there are similarities between the way we went in to Iraq and the way that they're going into Gaza. Just on the simplicity of they're going in and they're going to wipe out the place. Like they've already pretty much said that. All 1 million people, you've got 48 hours, however long it was to get out of there, and we're going to start bombing the place.
Here's what's so wild to me about that, Ryan, is that we didn't have control over the resources of the places we went to. We didn't shut off anybody's water. We didn't shut off anybody's power. We didn't shut off their internet. We didn't have that type of control over their resources.
That's
to
true.
Then say, you have this amount of time, get out of the way because we're blowing it all up. We're done. And then start blowing up the caravans of people that were safely trying to get to Egypt, which is also being blown up at this moment in time too. There is nowhere for anybody to go. And this is the part where I'm asking.
Yeah.
When is it enough? What does, because
I think you said it earlier. What's the end game? What's the end game here?
This is what I want to know, is because every war is finished by a pen.
Yes.
The peace treaty is signed. Everybody is on the same page. Here we are. How do we just fast forward to that and get to that point?
Wouldn't that be nice?
When do we call it? On both. And here's the thing: if Israel doesn't have all this, they are goners. We know that.
Yeah.
They are literally carved out in a place that they have to protect themselves. And we know that if Hamas put down their weapons, peace would be immediately there in that location. And that's not the only one. The Hezbollah is looking at starting some shit. And you're like, okay, well, how far is this really going to go? Iran, how are you funding? They're looking. We don't know fully yet everything. There's all the speculation of. And they, follow the money. Follow the money. Which we can get into Biden and the 6 million, was it billion
billion.
that was released. But you know what? They just swooped that right back up. They said
Yeah, they
nope, that's
froze
on
it
lock
right back.
again. They're like, nope.
Well, and again, that wasn't our money. That was Iran's money. It was tied up, and it was supposed. Yep, and it was supposed to go to humanitarian efforts. It was specifically earmarked, and
and tightly sealed. They were going to watch every single penny.
So it wasn't. It wasn't like, Iran's got $6 billion a blank check from America, which is what a lot of the GOP kind of insinuated or tried to make it.
Literally does not have anything to say but their own bullshit. And whenever they talk, you just say, okay, well, let me see. That's their perspective. Got it. So it's not really factual based, but it's red meat for because they're putting out their fucking emails of, trying to, because everybody's trying to make some money right now. Everybody.
Yeah.
And when you look at the situation for them, they don't have a fighting message. All they have is rage to go off of. And it's interesting how hawkish my conservative friends are, where they are, get in there, blow everybody up. And I go, can we just pump the brakes and just talk about the humanitarian aspect of all this? That children did not paraglide into Israel and kill all these people.
Right.
Nobody did. All you're doing is creating more Hamas. All you're doing is creating more another just generation that's going to be dysfunctional and become extremists.
Yes.
And it's like, to what extent do we want this? And I know that a majority of people don't want this.
Yeah.
But it's those small fractions of people who are in power who are creating this kind of havoc, much like the Republican Party. And I'm not saying that they are terrorists. I'm saying that small fraction in their well, okay, it's your show. It says right there, the Shead Show. Shead Show can say what
did you see how he just threw me under the bus, guys? Damn. He didn't even wait.
Yourself.
Yeah,
you
he's
put
like,
it to yourself, brother.
You see whose show this is, right?
Bop, bop, bop. That's it. But what I mean by that is that small fraction, that small fraction of Republicans who hijacked their party, which then ousted their speaker.
Yeah.
It's that small minority that is the loudest.
Yep.
Name me 5 Republicans that literally, like, you just don't hear from. You know what I mean? That just in their job.
Yeah.
Just in their job, just there, just making their money, doing their job, show up, and they're just like, yeah. I sit at the lunch table that there's a couple of Democrats and I just keep it moving and I just do my thing, whatever the case is. They're not screaming with a megaphone, but we only know the ones that scream with a megaphone.
They're the ones that have nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, but let's circle back to, because I feel like we just kind of,
we went everywhere. We went everywhere. There's a lot of processing,
which is our normal thing. Yeah.
There's a lot of processing that's still needed. There's a lot that is asked of all of us.
Yes.
I'm really disgusted, like I said, in a number of people that I cherish from the hip hop community that are only starting the dialogue from the civil rights movement, and they're like, "See, this is apartheid. This is," and I'm just like, "Whoa, let's have the conversation like they were Native Americans, okay? If Native Americans were here, not on reservation, and letting you have fucking water." And letting you have electricity, letting you have certain things, would you be calling them the occupiers? I wouldn't.
No.
I would say they were the landlords, and that's who the fuck we're hanging out with right now. So, I mean, there's a different dialogue, and I'm watching the propaganda from the media, from, of course, on IG and any social media. Social media is just trash at this point. It is only people who are tech savvy, barely tech savvy, who are just screaming out there and making their little fucking videos about this shit. And I'm like, you haven't, you. I didn't say.
A hit dog hollers, okay? You know what I'm saying?
But there is real honest conversations that need to be had.
Yeah.
And the question is, when do we all start? Because you can't be too hawkish on this, and you can't be too liberal on this either. Because there's people who were very pro-Palestine that just got their asses kidnapped, and that's that, or killed.
Yep. Here's where I'm at with it, honestly. And maybe it's because, I joined the military because of September 11th. And I would consider myself to be conservative Republican going in. Mm-hmm. And I realize now, looking back, that the reasons I went in were not very good reasons. It's like, oh, these terrorists attacked us, and we're all going to go and wreak havoc and revenge and whatever against all the terrorists. But
Yeah.
what a lot of us didn't know was there's a difference between fighting another army and fighting terrorists,
Yeah.
because terrorists don't wear uniforms,
No.
and terrorists aren't just men. And that makes fighting them much more difficult. And I wish people would, like you've pointed out here, I wish people would understand the nuances of this conflict. It didn't just start last week, like you pointed out. This has been going on for decades and even centuries. So
Yeah.
I think for us, unless you are some type of scholar and that is your thing, I think for many of us Americans to sit here and think that we can understand all of that and grasp all those nuances of this conflict, I think is very arrogant. And the position that I'm taking is I feel horrible for all the innocent people. Period. I don't
Plain
care if
simple.
they're Palestinian. I don't care if they're Jewish. I don't care. There are women, children, and even men that don't believe in this crap, that don't sign off on Hamas, that they're just in the middle. And as Ian pointed out earlier, Egypt isn't exactly, waving people through. And even the routes that they do have are getting bombed. So and Hamas is telling them, don't leave.
Right.
So it's like they don't want them to leave because that's their, as everybody points out, that's their protection, that's their bargaining chips, that's everything.
Right.
If everybody leaves, Hamas has nothing. That's why they don't want them to leave. That's why they're probably, they're bombing some of the routes. But it's not just Hamas bombing the routes. And again, to just sit there and have this conversation, it's really difficult because of how drastic everybody feels one way or the other. It's like
Immediately.
it,
Immediately.
it's just like, guys, we need to have an honest conversation about what the heck is going on.
And
And
what's
and and this
right, and to
no,
interject,
go ahead, please, please, please.
what's interesting about that too is that I've had a couple of these conversations, and a couple of them with my conservative friends, and immediately they attack anybody against their position as
Yeah,
being either anti-Semitic or being that you are anti-Jew, and I'm like, no,
yeah,
nobody. Just because I'm asking to think about women and children on both sides does not make you one lesser than the other.
no.
If I
But
can't cherish anybody's life, then why should I be having any conversation at all?
thank you.
At all. Plain and simple. And it's like this is where I think we all need to pull back. But it's also very it's very I'm a big believer in listen to people when they tell you who they are. And when you
Yeah,
see that you have the people who are heading into like Harvard, like we didn't even touch on this, Harvard and NYU, people who are in law in their final years, and they're over here signing off on, Israel had it coming, pretty much. Israel
yeah.
had this coming. They did this to themselves, and we stand with Palestine.
Not good
It's
for
like
your
first and
not good
foremost,
for your career.
uh, what career? Because every
Yeah,
CEO said, "I want every single name." They're now blacklisted, and then how quickly they then backtracked their statement and said, "I didn't mean to sign that," or "I didn't know that's what I was signing." Here's the thing: you're going to become a lawyer, and that's your defense. You are now either incompetent or you're just a fucking idiot, and either one, I don't want you working at my law firm. Plain and
and
simple.
I'm not. I probably would have the same position. But I will say that I think part of it was their ignorance and exactly what I just said, that their failure to understand the nuances
Right.
of what the heck is going on, bit them in the ass.
But this is the
And
part where college or school is a place that you should be able to learn.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I didn't have social media to this extent where whatever I said as a 19, 20-year old is now blasted for the whole world to see.
Thank God.
Do you know what I mean? It was one of those things where it was a teachable moment where you could literally make a mistake. You could say something ignorant and it could be held within that
Yep.
context of like, no, we need to teach you something
It can
right
stay in the
now.
box of a learning moment. Yeah.
But the moment you're putting it on this
It,
network, not,
it's got legs. It's got legs.
that watermark is goes a long way.
Yep.
And when you think about that then being, of course, used by whoever to weaponize now,
Yep.
that's going to live forever. The
Yep.
internet is forever, and the internet is unforgiving.
Undefeated.
And well, Black Twitter is undefeated. That's somebody who's
Well, that's
undefeated.
fair. So circling back, let's
Yeah,
put a bow on the BLM stuff.
which they backtracked, by the way. They did a couple days later. They backtracked
Well,
their bullshit.
so this I do believe why isn't it showing? I do believe this is what you were referencing of
Yes,
them putting out, right?
yes,
Yeah. So for everybody, this is what they put out on their social media, which created the backlash, and then they responded with, yesterday we sent out messages that we aren't proud of. We stand with Palestine and people who will do what they must to live free. Our hearts are with the grieving mothers, those rescuing babies from rubble who are in danger of being wiped out completely.
that
So,
is not the same as Hamas, and that is not the same as that attack.
and that's a horrible response, by the way.
They are a horrible organization at this point.
Yeah.
They are a laugh. They are literally a hollow point of what they used to be when they first came out. The first message of all lives will matter when Black lives matter,
Yes.
which is a powerful message.
I think we all supported the message and we all supported the initial movement, but I think, like you said, it just at some point it morphed into something else, and you had people taking advantage of the name, the organization itself, and doing things they shouldn't do, and then stuff like this doesn't help.
No, no,
Yeah,
no. It is definitely faltered from its original message.
yeah.
Plain and simple.
Unfortunately, I
Yeah.
still believe in the original message. But the organization, unfortunately, yeah, it's fallen short of
There's no defending any of it at this,
not
and
at
I
this
don't even
point.
choose to. I still stand by. Um, we have to have a dialogue around what's happening here in America,
Yes,
which is not
facts.
the same, or to be able to take that message of what's happening here in America and then think you can just simplify it to what's happening in another country. And
Yes,
I think it's really arrogant of us to think that we just can solve all the world's problems. We
yes,
cannot. The reality is
totally
that we
agree.
need to sit back and listen to both our Palestinian and Jewish brothers and sisters and see what's going on, because I think we're trying to really put a cap on it, as in like, well, it's so simple. It's not. It's not so simple,
No, if it was
and it's
simple,
not
we
the
would have fixed it.
same. And it's not the same as Hamas, who wants to just wipe out um, the Jewish population.
Yeah,
Friday the 13th, they put out the hit on all Jews around the
jihadist
world.
day or whatever it was.
And
Yeah,
it's just like, bitch, that's Friday the 13th. Don't take away my American holiday of being able to freak people the fuck out during the month of October.
dude,
Don't
that's
steal that from me.
that's what I'm gonna be this year. By the way, I got my chainsaw with the blade, the chain off. I'm gonna scare the
You were that guy that freaked me out as a child. That's
dude.
all I got to say.
I had somebody leave their kid in a stroller. Left their kid in a stroller. I'm in my Michael Myers mask, pushing the kid back down the thing to him.
That should be a Christmas card, is all I'm saying. Amber Alert. Have you seen this child?
With Michael Myers pushing him down the
Just
thing.
pushing down.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be a great card.
I
That'd
got
be a
him.
great
So this
card.
year, yeah, we're gonna have some props this year. So it's gonna
That's
be fun.
fantastic. That is
But
fantastic.
yeah, so I think we both are equally disappointed in the BLM organization and just the movement and what it morphed into.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And even
so,
and people on the left in general.
well, I was
They
about to
are
say the far left having an identity crisis on international stage. Explain to me what you meant by that.
well, this is the part where you think about people being liberal, where they're fighting for people's rights. You think about people who queer, LGBT. You think about people who are women's rights, everything. You think of what the left stands for, and then you see them echoing from the river to the sea, which is a very, it's coded language. It's a horrible message. It's genocide. It is wiping out Israel, killing all the people. And you have these young folks who are sharing this message, who are, the younger side of the left, Gen X, young millennials,
Yep.
who are coming up, like I said, trying to cover all the lane, and they don't realize that you being queer and saying queers stand with Hamas or stand with Palestine, you'd be dead. You will be dead. You will not exist in their world. You do not exist in their world.
Yeah.
You already got 2 strikes on you. Plain and simple. You come there, you go to Dubai, you go to any of these Muslim countries, and you think you're going to act like an American or act like you have all these rights and shit. Goodbye. Go look up American women in Dubai and acting up. See what happens. And we're talking about the smallest thing. Raising their voice to a teller locks you in jail. So don't sit here on the left screaming that you have all these rights and all these things. Well, no, because you're a man. You have more rights.
I'd get away with
automatically.
it. Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Automatically.
Yep.
And that's the thing that is so fucked up. So you look at this and you put this in context. So it's laughable to see somebody who's like, I'm queer and I stand for these people, down with these occupiers. And I'm like, you're wrong occupiers that they're talking about.
Yeah, sorry.
Wrong cult.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you're like, okay, you'd be that motherfucker shot first and foremost. End of story. So you're sitting here talking about this is what you believe, and then you're going to run to someone's conviction. They're casting a stone at you too, my friend. So it's again, it all comes back to the nuance. It all comes back to American problems are not the same in other countries, and you need to really take a step back. And I asked my wife, do you know the number of people who have Americans who have a passport? A passport.
Probably not many compared to our population.
You would be disappointed, and it's a fact to think about that number, that small number, and you can look it up if you want to right now. That small number compared to the amount of people that we have in this country shows you that we do not travel and learn about the world at all.
Well, bro, I mean, and I'm in no way like, this isn't meant to hate on anybody, but how many people that we went to school with never left Royal Oak, never left Michigan? You know what I mean? Like,
majority of people don't leave their surroundings. They're mostly moving 50 miles.
Yeah.
That's every state.
I've lived in Delaware, Virginia, freaking New York, Arizona, Utah, Okinawa, Japan, Georgia. It's like, I've been everywhere.
Yeah.
I freaking love it. And everywhere you go, you learn something different about the area that you're in and the people that are in the area that you're in.
Absolutely.
I personally feel the more often you get to do that, the more opportunities you have to do that. It just makes you able to get along with different people. Because, when you move into, like when I went to Georgia, it was a little bit of a culture shock for me, especially where I was in Georgia. And it was like, to fit in, you just kind of, you get to know how everybody is, and you just kind of try to fit in the best you can, and that's a skill. It really is, to be able to
adapt to your surroundings,
to 100%. Be able to walk into a room and be able to adapt because you've been in these situations before. You've been around these type of people before. It's a blessing and a skill, man. One that I think a lot of people are missing because they never leave their comfort zone.
And some don't have to. It's each his own.
And that's what I mean. It's in no way meant to. I'm not hating on anybody for it. It's just.
But you would think that someone would travel more if they lived in their natural, habitat of what they grew up in. You'd be like, oh, okay, great. You live here. You stayed here. This is where you want to be. You'll be, how many generations deep.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go anywhere past Canada. You don't want to go anywhere past Mexico. You don't want to go past anywhere in the Caribbean. You don't want to go, and really just go to Cambodia, go to Japan, like you said, Japan. Ironically, I'm actually studying Japanese right now because I'm going to go to Japan 2 years.
Bro,
I've already set the clock.
I should have,
I'll be
but
getting notes from you. I'll get some notes from you.
you won't get any from me for learning the language.
No,
Unfortunately.
locations,
Oh,
locations to go to.
locations I can help you out with.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the language. The bad thing is that being at Kadena Air Base where I was, it's the air base that's in the central. It's in the center of the Pacific.
mm,
So there's a lot of bases you can go to, and there's not a lot of real world stuff going on constantly. But when you're at a base like Kadena, there's constantly real world shit going on. So you're constantly working, and anytime something happens, it's like, well, we're on 12-hour shifts 7 days a week. Yay! It happens, and
damn.
you do it for 2 months. And so I went and took a business class, and the only reason I got to make it through the class was because my shop chief was taking it too. And
Wow.
and I swear I know for a fact that because of what was happening real world at the time, that had my shop chief not been taking the class, that I would have been told no, that I needed to stay and work. But he knew that he couldn't tell me no and him go.
Right.
So, but I knew that was the situation. The military very easily, they will tell you, you're not here to go to school, you're here to do this.
But
The
the
mission,
brochure says.
yeah, the recruiter says all sorts of shit. I'm telling you right now, when it comes down to it, the real world stuff will take
Uh huh.
precedence over your
Oh
education.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And they, I will say that, over there, the colleges that we went through, like University of Maryland was the one I went through, they were very understanding when real world stuff came up. It's one of the reasons
Right.
the military worked with them. So I will say that, but it's just, the reality is that we're there for the real world stuff.
When the boots
And
are on the ground, you already know what the
boots,
situation is.
you
Yeah.
already know. You
So
already know.
here's what I want to ask you, because this is all kind of tied together.
Yeah.
And speaking of, especially being in that situation of serving, so we have Tupperville, that piece of shit.
Ah,
That
you want to get
is
me riled up, don't you?
that kind of day,
I see
brother.
that.
That kind of day. That kind of day.
I see that.
So the devilish
I'm telling you.
grin. So here's where my head is right now, and
Okay.
what I'm really trying to process. We have the war in Ukraine versus Russia, which no one's talking about at all,
At all.
at all. We have no speaker in the House
Yep.
to allocate any money, any funding to either them or Israel
Yep.
for this defense, and then we do have China and the Taiwan conversation in the background, just on the back burner. It's on everybody's mind. They're sitting back real quiet, paying
Yep.
attention to how we are reacting to.
Yes.
So my question is, I really want to get into this. We're not ready, military wise, if shit was to pop off right now because of a senator who is going against his religious belief or whatever the case is, his crusade of controlling women. There's no other if, when, but, how, none of that.
Yeah.
The factor is controlling women and women who serve. Because if you look at the data, his fight about this topic barely even used when you look at the scale of how many people are in the armed forces and what this law is for them to take care of medical procedures and it be covered under the government's tab. So my question for you is, right now, we don't know what's going to happen in Ukraine
Right.
because we don't have our eye on the ball.
I think
Right
that's
now,
safe to say. Yeah.
Putin is hoping for us to forget about Ukraine and be distracted by what's happening now in the Middle East.
Yes.
Fully
He wants our
distracted.
attention divided. Yes.
How do you see this next year unfolding when it comes to military prepared readiness and also where we will be needed from your experience?
Yeah, it's tough. Again, I think going back to the nuances of all of this, it's really hard to determine what our military response will have to be. Um, Also factoring in the who our allies are in the situations. For us, the reality is that we have an ally agreement with Israel, and if we go against that, there will be international repercussions. How much I don't know, but to go against an ally like that, I don't know. I don't see that happening. So I think if it's between Israel and Palestinians, America's going to side with Israel, hands down.
Right.
Whether that turns into us having to send any type of ground troops or military equipment, I don't know. I think military equipment would probably be a hell of a lot more probable than us
I mean, that's already
sending.
happening. That's happening right
Are
now
they
as we
already
speak.
sent? Well, are
Yeah.
they're sending like tanks and shit?
They're
I know they're sending ammunition.
they're replenishing the dome, and they're replenishing a lot of their like you said, ammunition.
Okay.
Um, uh,
I'm more
I
talking
can't.
like tanks,
Got it.
helicopters.
Got it.
Like
Actual
we got
hardware.
F-16s to Ukraine, that
Right.
type of shit.
Right.
But ammo's still a big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
we're still sending ammo. So again, we're already taking that side of we're going to back Israel
Right.
and whatever they do.
Right.
And I think where you and I kind of are is that isn't the best move. That's not a smart move. It's going to just escalate everything to the nth degree. And I don't know what that's going to mean for us military wise. We're already sending a couple aircraft carriers, so we're clearly showing that we're willing to get involved. Okay,
Right.
so that I think that's important
But we're
because
also telling everybody else to stand down. That's
it's
a
also well,
surrounding.
it's a twofold, right?
Right.
It's
It's
we're
letting Hezbollah
willing to
know.
get involved, and
Right.
not only are we going to get involved, we've got 2 aircraft carriers headed that way. So y'all want to
Right.
fuck around, you
We're
guys
here.
will find out.
I mean, I give Biden credit. He let him know. Sleepy Joe.
They
Don't.
and going back to what you
Don't.
said, the 6 billion in of Iran's money,
Yeah.
that was frozen again.
Immediately.
So
Yeah.
but I also what we were talking about earlier, I think it's very important to bring out facts, which is that money was not in any way, shape, or form. That money did not come from America in any way, shape, or form. It was not taxpayer dollar money. It was not federal funded. It was Iran's money. Sorry, it was Iran's money that was set aside for humanitarian purposes, and it was earmarked for specific things and was being managed. So it wasn't like somebody sent a blank $6 billion check to Iran and
No.
said, "Here you go." That didn't happen.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to get, I think it's important to note that Biden, as well as, oh gosh, it was another country that helped them freeze it. I can't think of it
Qatar.
all. Was it Qatar? You're right. It was
Qatar
Qatar.
is the one that's actually um, pretty much the would be the
Yeah,
proxy
yeah,
for
the
it.
proxy in between.
Like
Yeah,
it literally is in Qatar. They are the ones who are going to be managing
yep.
every cent. It is Qatar, and
So
so they are in agreement. Yeah.
yep, they along with the United States have decided to freeze that. So that cut off a lot of their money, even though it wasn't going to be used for rockets or
I
anything like that anyway.
mean,
Well, yeah, it could have.
we
I
bought this
mean, hey, it's
hammer
better
for
to
this. You know what I mean?
fair
Whatever. But
point. Fair point.
and at the same time, too, it to me, because you had that counterpoint. Oh, okay, well, that was used for funding Hamas. No, it wasn't. It's like, well, if someone's like, well, I just got 6 billion, so yeah, I can go ahead and give you the money I have right now because I'm about to get 6 billion. It's like, yeah, did it fund or whatever? It
Get
was a well,
creative. Get
you know what I mean?
creative.
Right. Got some real fantastic
Now,
accountants.
now
But yeah,
going
but it's now it's back off the table, so it doesn't matter.
but going back to the military, I think again, I want to use our platform here to drive home the point that Ukraine is still going on.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're all focused on Israel and everything that's going on there, but we've got war crimes happening in Ukraine as well.
Absolutely.
And I hate the fact that we aren't talking about both at the same time because
Yeah, the news is trash, complete trash at this moment.
and honestly, I feel like you said earlier, I have been posting about Israel and Palestine for the last 3-4 days. Pretty
Yeah.
consistent. I haven't posted shit about Ukraine. That's on me too. Because it's just like, but it's always in my mind though. Like I haven't forgot that this is happening in my mind. like what I'm telling myself is, holy shit, here we are. We've got Russia with Ukraine. We've got Israel with Hamas / Palestine.
No, not slash Hamas. And then is it funded by? Because you have to break up the two. If you
Well,
blur those lines, then you're really
but what I'm
allowing.
trying to say is they're going after Palestinians under the guise of Hamas is what I'm trying to
Right.
say.
I mean, the innocence is the
Right.
civilians of
Right.
Palestine.
You
The
know,
war is with Hamas.
exactly.
Full stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to blur that line at all. It's just
Understood.
it's just we've got all these conflicts going on. And here we are. Now, here's what the rest of the world is looking at. I want you all to think about this. So the rest of the world is looking at, okay, holy crap, we've got Russia with Ukraine, we've got Israel in this conflict, and on top of it, we've got the United States that can't fucking figure out their head from their ass. And they've got nuke codes.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the rest of the world is thinking. They're looking at us, the United States of America, and going, they're not going to be much help. They can't figure their own shit out.
Well, it's definitely our house. I wonder what closed door is with Biden, and they can make all the jokes they want about him stuttering in front of fucking cameras, him
What do you mean
falling
closed
in front of
door?
cameras. Biden gets shit done behind closed door.
His
He
administration,
rallied
absolutely.
his
Yeah.
administration, but at the negotiating table,
Yeah.
he gets
No, he
shit
can
done.
get it done. Yeah, he can get it
Plain
done.
and simple. The way that he got the UN together to back not only Ukraine but to mobilize, to get
Yeah.
people moving. The way he got everybody mobilized for Israel and immediately is on top of things, he gets things done.
Yeah.
I don't care about his presence on camera.
But
It
he
means
does it
nothing
for
to
the
me.
right reasons too. Like, to him, it's like, you're American. You're not from Florida. You're not from Texas. You're American. We're gonna
Right.
do we're gonna do what's best for you. And that's what I like about him is
But
he
even his speech that he gave about this horrendous act, that wasn't written. That was him just generally talking
he's
as
better
a
he's
person
better
of the
that way.
leader.
He's better
Yeah,
that way.
yeah, yeah. Your boy Trump. I'm so thankful he's not around during this moment.
Oh,
Not in
bro.
the capacity of power.
Bro.
Um,
It would be
and
a
his
mess.
bullshit. He already just said that. This fucking asshole. He fucking sucks. Oh God, he fucking sucks. I don't
Tell me
give.
how
I
you really
don't.
feel, brother.
I don't. I do not watch this individual, and that his clips still find a way to find me. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I make sure I still do not watch any. I don't give him one hint of a view. I'm not interested.
I try very hard not to these days, but every once in a while, like, he'll
Oh, it
say
finds you.
something.
It finds
No,
you.
I'll post it because I'm like, okay, I can't let that one go. Like,
Oh
holy
yeah.
shit, you
He's
know.
you're. It's no love crush like Marjorie Taylor Greene in you. Yes, that's not it.
No,
But yeah, but you're definitely doing great.
Matter of fact, I've been going at her all day today too. I just posted something like 3 hours ago.
I sort of got Valentine's Day. You better send her a nice gift. That's all I'm
What it
saying.
was, I asked her because she was posted in support of what's his name, the rep who went over there and saved 77 Americans all by himself, and Biden couldn't do it.
Oh
Mills, is it
God.
Mills? So anyway, she posted that she was supporting him, and apparently he has a company that he founded that is selling munitions and guns to foreign governments, and he won't say which ones. So I posted that article and I said,
Oh.
could you ask your friend which governments he is selling his ammunitions and guns to, and can you also ask him after that what the possibility is of Hamas using his weapons and his ammunition against Israel? Get
Yeah.
back to me on that, will you?
Yeah. Follow the money. Follow the money.
Follow the freaking money.
Yeah.
So you mean that there are people in the United States making money off of all these conflicts?
It's business. War is the most profitable business,
Yep.
and it's only the innocent who have to pay.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And that's a harsh reality. The yeah, I had to get a couple things off my chest, and there's still a lot more processing. I don't feel I have all the answers. I just feel like sometimes talking it through with you or with my close circle helps to kind of unravel some of this because it's winding us up all tight.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Like what was it? I think it was, we were supposed to go live last weekend, and
Yeah,
I needed the weekend, man. Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's heavy.
I started feeling good towards the end of Sunday. Like I was like, you know, I could have done a show, but
Yeah, you did. You texted me. You're like, "Hey, man,
like
I could jump
Fridays,
back on."
yeah, like I was ready to go Sunday
Yeah,
night, but Friday and Saturday, man, it was just like I need I need to just spend some time with the family. You know, we went down, saw my in-laws, took the dogs, you know, and
yeah.
just relaxed for the weekend. And
It's food
I
for your
need
soul, man. You need
I need
that.
that. And so I was driving back from their house, texting you because I was like, okay, I unplugged, spent some time with family, I'm good.
Right.
You know, like I'm ready to, I'm ready to fight again. But yeah, man, it's just like you said, it every day you wake up, it's just a kick in the gut,
Yeah.
whether it's from America or from Israel or Ukraine or whatever. There's just so much to focus on, and the reality is that I this is what I do, and
Right.
I don't have the time to deep deep dive into how many things are going on right now. So the average American definitely does not have the time to deep dive into all of these things. It's like they just have to go off of whoever they follow on social media, whatever podcast they listen to, and
Their echo chambers. Yeah.
whatever news they decide to watch. So it's just, yeah, it's just weird, man. It's weird.
Well, it's interesting to take it from a different perspective. I've definitely gone as far as to watch, you know, Palestinian news. I've gone as far as to watch Israeli news. Like I said, I've gotten it from both sides of friends on how they feel, and it's very deep rooted.
It
It's
is.
very deep rooted, and there's no changing anything. You're not winning anything today.
No.
If anything, you're prolonging
Yeah.
that peace. And we may not see it in our lifetime, but at the same time, is we know is there will there be a ceasefire? Will there be some type of
Sure hope so, man.
reconciliation? Will the hostages make it back to their loved ones? Um, you know, will there be some type of humane way to handle this
Yeah.
conflict? Um, which is really tragic, and I really hope Israel doesn't go down the same path and stain their flag as much as we have with some of our wars. Our
Well said.
Vietnam,
Well said.
and it's and Iraq.
Iraq
There's
and
just certain things.
Afghanistan were a freaking disaster.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
Israel's headed for the same disaster. I think that's what my point has been the whole time, and maybe you just connected that dot for me. Is we fucked up. There's no other way to look at 2003 and our response to September 11th. There's no other way to look at it than we fucked up.
yeah,
And when we fucked up, we brought a lot of other countries with us. You know, I try to always remember that why we messed up, why we went off of bad information, we did at least follow. We followed what we were supposed to do in terms of we're going to declare war. We're going to go through the UN. We're going to do this. It wasn't like, well, now granted, Bush did kind of say you're either with us or against us, but we still went through the process, right?
right.
It's just, even though we went through the process, we brought other countries with us, and a lot of people lost their lives. Um, and some people that were serving still don't know why we were there.
Some
And
people who served are jaded,
well,
to
I
a whole
mean,
ninth degree. You gave up your youth for something,
it's you know what? Yeah, I think the reason that a soldier becomes jaded is probably different for everybody.
right?
Um, I think what made me jaded was knowing that I participated in this years long operation that started out as something that it wasn't in the end. And when you're sold that bill of goods, And as you were saying, you're a young 20-year-old, you believe it. You buy
Right.
into the patriotism. And all my veterans out there that are watching, you'll remember the videos. They'd show the videos of the bombs going off with the chaff and flares coming off the C-17 that looked like an angel, and they'd be the Toby Keith in the background, freaking playing. Thank
Right.
God, love America. Like, they'd show us those videos all the time, and it's like a cult tactic, because you're bleeding patriotism. You're doing this for the right reasons. These are the people you're fighting. This is what we're doing. We're the heroes. Like, they're pushing all this shit on you. Like, and then when you get out and you start looking back on your time, and you take those glasses of, I'm serving, I'm focused on what I'm doing. I
Right.
follow my orders. I fix airplanes. This is what I do. But when you get out and you take those glasses off and you start looking at the bigger picture, you're like, I played a part in that, and I don't know how well that sits with me. And I think that's where, for me, the jaded part comes in, because in some parts I felt lied to, and I felt like my service was purchased through a lie.
Mm.
And for me, that bothered me, because you lied to me, or you stretched the truth, however you want to put it. But you sold me a bill of goods that a year and a half in, I realized was bullshit. And then you realize 10 years later, not only was it bullshit, but we ruined lives, and
Right.
we don't know why. We
Do you
can't,
think
we, go ahead.
do you think the region would be really different if Saddam Hussein was still in power? Do you think that void created a different type of
I mean, he'd probably be dead by now, but I think, had he been allowed to stay in that, I think one of the things that we took away from that was that, as bad as Hussein was, he wasn't the worst.
right?
And not only that, but I think the point you're getting to is that he managed to keep the region, somewhat under control, because of how ruthless he was.
Right.
Like, he had a reputation of being extremely ruthless, but he was also willing to. He could also rub elbows with world leaders on top of that, and that's what made him. I think, looking back now, we probably realize that he was the lesser of evils. But there were certain people in power, Bush and a lot of the Republicans, that were so hell bent on getting him no matter what,
Right.
that.
They're very hawkish.
And then when we got done and we started seeing how it unstabilized not just Iraq, but the whole region,
Yeah.
I think anybody worth their salt looks at that now and goes, yeah, we might have fucked up there.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, man. I mean, like looking, I mean, of course, hindsight, 2020,
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
Get
but
you every time.
this is the part where we are trying to uh, shift that path for other countries if we can
I
give them
think
that
that's
history lesson.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, and probably, again, connected a dot for me. I think that's why it upsets me so much, because whether people want to, agree with me or not, it is reminding me of what we did, in the 2000s.
Hmm.
And it's just, there's a lot of similarities, and I can say that, and also say why I see all those similarities. I can also still acknowledge the nuances of this specific conflict. Um, I hope that all the world powers, us, the UK, all of us can come together, and like you said, hopefully come to some type of ceasefire. Because, like you said, every war, every conflict is ended with the flick of a pen. So hopefully we can, the world
Just
leaders can
fast
get
forward to that
together and
point.
fast forward to that part. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
for
it really
sure.
is necessary. I
Yeah.
see why aliens are not really coming down to us right now. That's all I'm
I wouldn't stop shit.
saying. ET like,
It's like, we need gas.
I ain't getting it from this.
I'll
I
run
heard
out.
about
I'll
this.
run out.
I heard about this in the galaxy. Milky Way, we don't do.
Okay, so let's get
I'll read that
into
story.
some less serious things to end this. Actually, before that, you wanted to talk about IGAI.
Well, IG's AI just in general, any social media's algorithms that are coming out. We've already kind of touched on it. It's heightening the minority voice.
Yes,
You know, it's really put because it wants to generate more and more likes, clicks.
shock value.
Shock value
Yep.
is always going to rise up to the top, but it wants to. There's a lot that we need to really figure out with our diet when it comes to being online. And I
Yeah.
keep telling my wife right now, like, don't be online. Just don't. There's nothing there for you that's going to fill you with joy. I promise you
Not
right now.
joy.
It's not. It's not. And it's because everything that anybody posts that just creates any type of little movement, it's going to generate that as much as possible to keep you entangled in its web.
Hmm.
And I really have to say that just like we talked about last week, being with the family and disconnecting, it's necessary. And I
Yeah.
wasn't in a rush because you said let's not do it. I said no, let's not do it. Be with your
Yeah.
families. Be present. Be go for a walk. Go do something. Just turn this shit off
Yeah.
and right now my wife and I are on that for this weekend. We've really tried to be also disconnected. You're the first person, really I'm kind of reaching
Well,
out
yeah,
to.
because I didn't. Yeah, I text. Well, like I said, I had texted Ian. I think what, Friday or Saturday, and I
Yeah,
didn't hear from you until this morning. But that's
literally.
good.
And
I mean,
I
that's
was like, my bad, man. I was like,
yeah.
I meant to reach out to you, but
But
it's one of those
that's
things.
that makes me
Disconnect.
happy though that that's the reason you didn't respond because it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you were unplugging, you were taking time for you and the family, and that's for those of us that have families and have that in our lives. I think it's so important right now to try to disconnect and
Well, even
connect
your
with
chosen family,
what's important.
disconnect,
Exactly, just disconnect
disconnect.
and refocus on the people that love you and that you love, and even if it's just a day, even if it's
Yeah,
just a day, just
yeah.
take a break and remember what we're all fighting for here. you know
100%. And that's actually something that my wife and I talked about. And I said, because it's presently with everything going on, it's hard to find that joke, to find that hint
mm,
of laughter, um, and to what you touched on earlier, and that's hope.
yeah,
If you give any of that up, terrorism it wins.
yeah, evil
Don't
wins.
lose it. Don't
you
lose
know
it. Don't lose your hope. Don't lose that laughter. Don't lose those moments that you understand fully why we are here and
yep.
doing this.
I,
You got to keep pushing for that.
the one thing I always keep in the back of my mind: hate is heavy. you know like carrying around hate all the time, that's heavy on the soul. And I don't know, I guess I've gotten to a point where I don't want to carry that around anymore, because I used to carry it a lot. Like, there were I felt like a lot of people had let me down,
Hmm.
and I would generate this hate out of it, whether it was right or wrong. It may have been valid or not, but still carrying around that hate, whatever the reason is, man, it's so heavy. And I think letting that go and being able to see other people's perspective, other people's experience,
Yeah.
um, you know, just we talked about being able to travel all around,
Yeah.
but being able to open yourself up to have those conversations like you're traveling. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, just talk to the person standing next to you, man. We all have our heads in our phones. But honestly, I'm at a point now where if somebody starts talking to me, I've got my head in my phone. I'll put my phone away, because it's like, oh, this is let's have a conversation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's really weird. Like, I've gotten to the point where it's like, oh, if somebody wants to talk to me, I'll put my phone away because my phone's going to be there in 5 minutes. You know,
You ain't
and
missing
it's just,
nothing.
no,
Digital footprint.
but I'm gaining a connection, and
100%.
I'm gaining somebody's story, and that is worth putting down the technology for a few minutes. And
Yeah.
I also think the more people, if we can get people to start, hey,
The
see,
ice comes to join at the right time.
I'm telling you, puppies raise the ratings, man. Puppies raise the ratings.
Well, you talk about a terrorist. First
Oh
off,
man,
the
that
terrier in this one.
we spoil dogs around here in this house. That's what we do.
Oh, he's
But
spoiled. This is our first child.
so let's move on to a couple of
Go ahead,
not
Bobo.
so serious things. The first thing is, well, it's sad, but Suzanne Somers passed away.
Oh,
Um, and for me, I actually posted on Twitter that I felt like it was part of my childhood, you know, going away again. Like we we tie our memories to so many funny things, like songs, TV shows. Like
yeah.
for me, Home Improvement, I always think of my dad because my dad and I would always, I think it was Thursday nights, we'd sit down,
Oh,
wait,
oh,
wait.
oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, my dad loved that show, and we watched it together every
Yeah.
season. Like that was our thing. So anytime I see that, I think of him. And I always think of Step by Step when I saw Suzanne Somers, but also Three's Company. I was a
Three's
kid.
Company.
We used to watch Three's Company.
Three's
Um,
Company was. It always made me think about when I was homesick in elementary. I was
yes,
sick a lot as a kid,
yes,
and that would be on that and Sanford and Son,
yep.
oh man, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. But Step by Step, that was the show that was our generation
Yeah,
growing up,
yeah,
and it was interesting to see them both on in the same day. Just one was on in
yeah,
midday, and then one was on closer towards TGIF or whatever.
yep.
Um, but yeah, Susan Summers, man, she definitely.
She
Uh,
she had breast cancer for a very aggressive form of breast cancer. I think for 23 years she battled it.
wow, wow,
So yeah, she got decades from her original diagnosis, which is outstanding.
yeah.
Um, and she left a very healthy legacy behind that you know will people will look to for generations. She had amazing cookbooks. She was very into health and wellness. She wrote books.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, no, there's a legacy that she left behind that I think will be very valuable for even future generations.
She's a gem. She's a real gem
Absolutely.
in
So
general.
hope she's resting easy now, though, and yeah, just kind of a sad part of the day.
That was your happier note.
I didn't say I said before I hit it that it was sad. I'm sorry.
He said on a
Okay,
lighter note,
the
but this
next
person
one.
died.
Okay, but the next one is funny. So
Only at the.
so I forgot to put it in here, but America officially has its first space ranger.
Oh, we have our
Hmm.
own Buzz Lightyear.
We do,
Get
and
out!
it literally says "Step aside, Buzz Lightyear" in the title.
Didn't even read it. There it is. There it is.
So apparently, this person graduated from
Space
they called
Force.
it the Military Ranger School. I thought it was the Army Ranger School, but I guess so they went
Oh.
through the Military Ranger School and are part of Space Force. So they are the first Space Ranger.
All right. He better have a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger like starter kit. He better have a jetpack. He better look like Boba Fett.
He better have one of those
Beam
thingies.
me up,
Yeah.
okay? I want a laser gun and sword. Let's go. We need to talk about this stuff. If you're gonna be a space ranger, first
Can,
off,
can you imagine that?
you
What
can't
do
be on
you?
Earth and be a space ranger.
Can you imagine being at the bar and be like, "So what do you do?" "I'm a Space Ranger." "Okay, Buzz
Ain't nobody
Lightyear."
taking you serious.
Ain't
Ain't
nobody
nobody taking
taking
you
you
serious. No
serious,
one's taking you
man.
serious. They can tell you, get the fuck out. Get out of my bar.
Leave,
Get out of my
leave.
bar. Get out right
How
now.
many drinks have you had?
How many drinks? Get out of here. I wonder what that entails. What does that entail to be a space ranger at this moment? This is like being the first
I'm gonna
EV
have.
and there's no charger down the block. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
I
like,
think
well,
that's
I'm an electric
fair.
vehicle.
I
It's
think
like
that's fair. I'm wondering
what is
what the
that?
Space Ranger. Wondering what the Space Force is to begin with, but like, why fuck with something that isn't broken? NASA was fine. NASA was doing a good
No,
job.
no,
Come
no.
on, bro.
No. NASA's, that's a black hole in itself with budget.
They're
No,
still
space.
sending NASA money, even though they claim they don't.
Of course. But at the same time, NASA is about exploring. Space Force is about
Taking
actually setting
over
up a
space.
defense, right? About taking over that budget. Okay, when we get a new House member, new House
Speaker,
speaker,
yeah,
maybe funding will be taken care of for that.
maybe,
No,
maybe.
I find it. There's Neil deGrasse Tyson said something really interesting back when that bitch was in power, Trump. Um, And everybody was mocking Space Force, and he said something I thought was really interesting. There's a lot of debris that is circulating in our orbit, and from all the missions, everything, and tons of things that is just becoming now junk in front, all surrounding Earth. And
Yeah.
so we do need to start thinking about how much pollutant we put out now in the galaxy, and what we need to do to start cleaning up the area, and B, because if we are going to have interstellar travel, and just if this is going to be a hub, if we can survive all this, and start understanding that we are just a ball of dust circulating through the Milky Way, through the galaxy,
Telling you.
when we start thinking bigger about what's really possible, or what's actually a threat out there, we start thinking collectively of how we can just get through this,
Yeah.
period. We're gonna have to understand that we're gonna have to clean up space, because we've already fucked that up for our actual the circumference around us. We got to clean it up. We got to actually now, just like our oceans, we got to clean up space. So Space Force
We need to
has a job
design a
right off the
space
bat.
vacuum.
Space net.
Space net. There you go. That's
Gotta
better.
get some space net.
Space
Gotta
net's
get
better.
space net and just start, just collecting everything.
Yeah.
But no, but there's gonna be
And
some
get
type of
Elon's
element.
satellites while you're at it.
Oh fuck this guy, Elon.
Okay. So
I'm just laughing about just who that person is. But yes, please continue.
Okay, so let's end it on this. And I'm really hoping that you know what the hell I'm talking about. Have you heard anything about the Jada Pinkett Smith stuff?
I know more about these people that I've never asked. I've never asked. They are willingly putting it in front of all of us, and none of us care.
None of us want to know this.
No. I want Bad Boys 47. That's what I want.
Bro,
I just
thank you.
want to see Will on the big screen doing Big Willie style. Jada,
I'm gonna say something, and
Jada has my haircut, and I don't care for her. I'm just telling you right now.
It's pink now. But after listening to this woman for the last like 5 days, I'm starting to understand why Will have some issues. Like this woman saying that they haven't been together since 2016.
I mean, yeah, she's been sleeping with her son's friends. All types of stuff. There's a lot of.
And then she's
again,
like when he
there.
called me his wife that night, I was surprised.
You know what? All it screams to me is that you're this narcissistic, and the world is literally dealing with some shit, and you feel like we need to know about you. I don't care about you.
I mean, we're talking about it, so I guess I could.
You are talking about it.
Yeah, I brought it up. I'll take
Shead
it.
Show. Okay, this is.
Wait till we get off the air. Wait till we get off the
air. No, but but this goes in the same vein as in like I already forgot his name, but the one who supposedly murdered Tupac. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
this is up again. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So her bringing up anything, I'm just like,
did you see the what? Did you see the one? Did you see the video I sent you about the Tupac thing?
I mean, he's been claiming that he was a part of that for the longest time.
No.
Which one?
So Jada Pinkett Smith went on.
That's her soulmate.
Up in Smoke podcast and said that Tupac proposed to her while he was at Rikers. This woman fucking destroyed her. She laid out the timetable. She laid out everything. She's like, oh, so you're going to claim that you were visiting him at Rikers? He was only there for 4 weeks, bitch. He was then transferred to Clinton Correctional Facility. So you were visiting him all these times at Rikers, and then she's like, well, let's have a look at where you were on these dates that you claim to be. Dude, she just totally destroyed her. She's like, there's no way that happened. There's no fucking way that happened.
It's a beautiful book that Tupac wrote, The Rose That Grew from Concrete. Yep. Beautiful book. And it's just his poetry.
Yeah.
And his poem to Jada. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I don't
They had love for
disagree.
each other. Yeah.
I don't disagree. But I think he was a whole different type of human being also.
Oh yeah.
Just a different type of human being in general. And Jada is just she's so out there, and I don't mean that in a positive way.
No, she's
There's nothing about her that I feel is not toxic, and it's just like
that's the best word, dude. She's just toxic as fuck. Like
and
you
none of us care about you. I'm sorry. Like there's more important shit going on in the world than who you're having a fling with, or the fact that you cockhold Will. No one cares. Like we're not interested. I miss Will. I miss the Will that we had. I miss the Will that was
do
striving to do more in Hollywood.
do you think that this will
But
buy Will Smith any forgiveness for what
no,
happened? No.
no, no. Have we forgiven Tiger Woods? Have we forgiven? Um,
Tiger Woods slapped Chris Rock?
no. My point to you is that can you imagine? Can you imagine if Tiger
That's
Woods?
kind of funny.
This is my move for you. Okay. Hi. No.
Oh shit.
It's just that element of like anybody who's in pop culture or in the limelight. You got two strikes,
Yeah. Yeah.
already against you, in their with their melanin. And so what I mean by that is that Will Smith, he acted a goddamn fool in front of all those folks that are not the ones to act in front of. And
Nope. Like you saw the
and
Chris Rock special, right? The way he ended
yeah,
it.
oh yeah,
My
yeah.
mom taught me you don't argue in front of white people. And he throws the mic. It's like, historically speaking, you don't
It's
argue in front of white people.
I mean, I'm just saying. Chris Rock is a genius in the way that he even just waited. He said, "I will respond when I'm
Uh,
ready."
he made money off
And
of that. I
absolutely,
that
absolutely.
he even though I think there were parts of his stand up that were just kind of like, like, but the end, the delivery of what he wanted to
You
say
know,
about Will and the
yeah.
situation was
Well,
well
that's
worth
all you were waiting for. That's
it
what we were
was
all
well
waiting
worth the
for.
wait. It was
That's what
well
we were
worth the
waiting
wait.
for. You
And
bitch, you
and
fucking bitch, you
but more
bitch, you bitch.
importantly,
It's so good.
I watched Emancipation just to watch him get hit. I was like, oh God. But
Yeah, it's so good.
he also gave a master class on how
Yes.
to take a negative, take something that happens to you that, he could have, if he would have reacted in any kind of way, he would not have had that moral high ground to
No.
stand on. And
No.
because he did it that way, and like you said, he waited, it was almost a damn year, wasn't it, before he did the
Yeah.
show?
Yeah.
He waited almost 12 months of everybody asking, tell us what he's like, nope, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait
I'll
till the
let you
perfect time.
know. I'll
I'm
let
gonna
you know when I'm
make
ready.
he's like, I'm gonna make money off of this.
Hell yeah, as he should.
Always
And that's
make
how this
money
game is.
off of, yeah, something like that happens, find a
You
way to
gonna
make
laugh at
money
my
off of it.
pain. You gonna laugh at my
Exactly.
pain. You know what I mean? That's 100%.
And
But yeah. I think I don't know what it takes for Will to bounce back. I've
I think
never
he will
slapped
though.
somebody on national TV. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Like
I'm just
there are actors out there that get forgiven for all sorts of like way worse shit. So I
I
mean,
mean, okay, will it happen in like 10 years? You know what I mean? Well,
God, I
is Will
hope
Smith
it's
gonna
less
come
than
back
that.
and look like a Morgan Freeman? You know what I'm saying? He's gonna look old, just showing up. You
I
know what I
mean,
mean? Like
yeah, I hope
there's
it's in less than 10 years that people forgive him. But yeah, I don't
look,
know.
this is all I can say to you, Ryan. I hope that he's getting the help that he needs.
That I
Plain
will
and simple.
100% agree with
Take as
because he
much time as you
definitely,
need for you to
yes,
find your
100%.
footing and rebuild yourself in the image that you feel is right.
Yep,
And then you know what? When you're ready to present yourself,
we'll be here.
we'll see what happens. But
Yep.
but I definitely want Bad Boys 47. That's something I do want.
Well, I just want the
Um,
next one. They're doing a new one.
is it official?
Yeah, they're doing another
All
one.
right,
The
all
fourth.
right,
It'll be the fourth one.
all right, all
Yeah.
right. Because they got if they can keep them going like they keeping John Wick alive, yeah, let's go. Let's see what
Oh,
happens.
well, I mean, John Wick is finally. Oh, we'll have to
Is
cut
he?
that.
Is he?
Is he? Maybe. Um, it's like, yeah, not trying
It's
to
like the
spoil
dress all
any.
over again. It's
Yeah,
like,
I'm not trying
what
to
color is
spoil
the dress? I
anything.
don't know. I don't know.
So before we go off, do you have anything that we didn't touch on you wanted to say?
No, man, I'm really quite interested to see what's going to unfold.
Yeah.
In these weeks to come, because keep in mind we only postponed the government shutdown to November.
Yep.
We are quickly approaching.
Very quickly.
We're in the fourth quarter.
30 days actually from today, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and we're in the fourth quarter into the new year. So lots wrapping up
This year
of
went fast,
2023.
man.
It
This year
did.
went
It
fast.
really did. And it's it's not looking good for that bitch named Donald Trump. Um,
Can't
and it's
wait.
interesting to see what's really unfolding there. Though Judge Eileen Cannon is never disappointing on her fake outrage and her rulings.
Yeah,
But
she's
some things are kind of unfolding there, and we'll see what happens. But right now, I believe is it the 30th of this month that the federal judge Chutkin is going to be making her own calls on any gag orders or anything. She's
oh,
going to be
okay.
reviewing. Is it? No, I think it's on the 16th. The 16th.
Tomorrow.
So this week,
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow.
she's going
Because
to
they're
be
trying to shut
looking
him
at.
up. They're trying to shut him up.
So there's
Yeah.
going to be a couple things that are going to unfold. Um, for the Republican Party,
And that's
Nikki
why you
Haley's
need to
taking
tune
it.
into next week so you can hear us
So
talk about those.
to really break down what we're looking at.
Right.
There's a couple of things that to crypto's a little convoy, and
Oh, yeah.
a couple of things to just look at that are kind of unfolding.
What,
You
the
know,
Friedman got Friedman or whatever his name is? Yeah.
Sam Bankman-Fried,
Yeah, Fried. Thank
and
you.
looking at just how that's kind of unraveling right now. So there's a couple things that are really in the pipeline, but
Yeah.
stay tuned
Yes,
on the Shead
absolutely.
Show.
And I'm going to end it with this. I should have uploaded it, but I didn't. If you follow me on social media, go check it out. Or just search for it. Last night, the cold open for SNL,
Mm.
Pete Davidson gave like a minute and 40-second, cold open, but it was powerful. It was well delivered. And, oddly enough, uh, he was the perfect person, I think, to lead into that show with everything going on. And he did a really good job. So if you haven't seen that video, you can go on my page. It's on there, or just search it, and find it. It's all over the place. But he did awesome. And I think that's the message that, Ian and I are trying to put forward too, is, we're worried about all the innocent people, and we're aware that there are innocent people on both sides that are, that their lives are being destroyed. So with that, I just wanted to again drive home that I personally support Israel. But I also support the innocent Palestinians on the other side of this. And as Ian said a couple times, I just hope that our leaders can come together and get to the pen flick in time where they can end this conflict, and um, all these innocent people can stop losing their lives, because enough's enough. So with that, I'll leave you as I always do with much love. Keep fighting, and we'll see you next week.